Okay, so I'm taking this painting here that is a pour painting that was swiped. I'm going to be adding these bubbles into it. Now, so far what I've done is mark with the circles where they're to go. See? And now I'll be enhancing, like I've started enhancing these to make them 3D and pop out. So that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, I hope you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Let's see what happens. So, got some water here. Some water. And some of these really fine little brushes that I'm going to use. And cardboard palette. These are the colors I'll be using. And they're acrylic paint. So let's see what happens. Let's see if I can make these circles pop. Move this over a little bit. Okay, hopefully you'll be able to see. I started doing this one already, and you can see it's beginning to pop out a little bit. So I added some black along the edge and did some blending. And it'll be easier for me to just show you than to try to explain it, okay? These are the brushes I'll be using, really fine brushes. Okay, so I'm gonna do this one. I hope you can see this one. I'm gonna start with the black. I'm gonna go right along the edge of the pencil mark that I had made. So it starts creating depth and volume. You want the circle to become 3D. And if I'm near another one, I'll do the same thing. Well, I've got the black in my hand. Okay. So that's what I've done so far. So it's already creating some depth. I don't know if you can see that. It's already creating some depth, see? Okay, we'll continue. Once in a while, I'll take you in for a close-up. So the other color I'm going to use is white. Just a little dab of. And as these dry, I can go back in with the white and make it stronger, like in here. That's why you'll have to roll this brush to get some of the thickness off the edge. So now I'm going to put the white in here. Let that come up against that black. You could always put the black back in if you lose it. Acrylic dries really quick, so it lends itself to going back in again pretty fast. So I'm trying to create volume, make things turn, give them some 3D effect. While that's drying, I can go on to this one. Excuse me. It's behind this one, so I'm not going to go over that black. Keep it behind it. And I'm going to do this one up here while I've got that white in my hand. Running right along the line, the pen line that I made. And while I've got the black in my hand, I'm going to put the black in again over here, creating that volume and 3D look, giving it a little depth on the edge. There we go. So they're starting to pop a little. Starting to pop a little. This one should be real easy to see it pop because it's got that white, a lot of white behind it. Alrighty. And now the white. Now that white is not going on real strong, but as this dries, I'll put another coat of white on it. And while it's mild like that, I can probably do a little blending of the black. And just softening some of the inside. Same thing with this one. I might want to put some gray, which is kind of like a gradation from the black. So it's not as harsh. If I've lost too much of the black, I'll mix some of that in with the gray. A little water on the side. And do a little blending. So a lot of this is about blending. Blending how much black, how much gray, to start creating depth and turn and volume. You want this to start turning. So I'm going from that gray too. I'm leaving some of what was there already showing. And this white is going to be made a lot stronger eventually. That gray. If the paints start drying out on this cardboard palette, you might have to add some more paint and spritz it with a little water because it does dry out quite often. So I'll show you how it looks so far. They're starting to pop. Not quite there yet, but they're starting to pop. So we'll keep going. And once in a while, I'll bring it in for a close-up to let you see how it's progressing. Okie dokie. All right, this one needs a little bit of gray in here. Soften that a little bit. Soften this in here a little. So it's gradually making that turn instead of this sharp line of blue black. It's just changing it gradually. So we're going from dark to light. We're working from dark to light as far as the shading is. And while I'm up here, I'm going to just put this one in. Some of them need more, some of them need less. Every once in a while, sit back, good 2 or 3 feet, and you'll be able to see better what's going on. They all need that little white mark in there, which is a reflection mark. Okie dokie. Starting to look like bubbles. Starting to. look like bubbles. If the white gets too liquidy, put a fresh little blob out there. And don't put so much water on your brush. You can wait for this to dry a little bit. Okay, I'm using some more black. I do have a nice dark purplish blue out here, but I could also add some black to the blue and or to the purple blue, which is cobalt blue. I can make it darker too just by adding a little black to it. All right, so I'm going to add the black into here, creating that depth. If it's a smaller circle, you don't need as much. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Okay. If the brush gets too thick, the paint on it, just clean it out. Clean it out in your water. Get some of the thickness off and then just continue. Okay, so moving right along. I'm going to work on this one right here. I think this is going to lend itself really cool to this painting because it kind of looks like rocks and pebbles and water, you know, just coming up, water coming up that way. I think it's going to lend itself really well, the bubbles. Now, you can put in fish. You can put in, depending on what the landscape, what it's suggesting. This is kind of suggesting pebbly, watery type of thing. You can put in fish. You can put in crab, the crab walking along here. There's a lot of options you have. But I just love the bubbles. For one thing, they're easy to do. I think they're easy to do. Practice, practice, practice. And they really lend themselves well. Excuse me, that lousy nasal drip. They lend themselves well to these pour paintings. So I really like these. Not crazy about this one, and I think it's it needs a little bit of that gray between the black. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, where am I? Okay, this one here. I like the other ones. They're coming along really well. But this one here, I got my finger on the right place. Yeah. This one here needs some help. Needs some help. It's not quite, it needs that black softened on the inside a little. So we'll work on that one. I'm going to put a little bit of the gray on the edge. Oops, it dried out. The brush dried out. The brush is just holding them in your hand dry out. Just put the water on them again. And so I'm going to go back in here onto that black. Just soften that a little bit between the black and the Okay, this one too needs the softening between the black and the... That's probably good to do the black while it's still a little wet while you're putting that gray in, because then they blend together better. And we go back to the white. The white's getting very weak. So I might have to put some fresh white in there. There we go. This white will all but disappeared. Almost disappeared. Put it up along the edge against that black. It pops it out a little more. Same thing in here. Especially where you have dark against light, like right here. Just put a little thin line of white in there. Pops it out. Nice. Oh, better. Yeah, dark against light. Let that pop out. I'll probably do that wherever there's... if the white brush, if it gets too glunky, just get a new brush with fresh paint on it. It has no water on it. I got to put a fresh glob of white in there. I'm just using Arteza, but you could use any acrylic paint. See? Excuse me, I dropped the cover. I got to put the cover back on there. So I've got a handful of brushes in my hand all the time, because I'm always dabbing in one color or the other. Sometimes you can use the same brush when you want to blend, but basically I like one brush for each color. Just makes it fresher. Okay, we got that accent white right in there. This is a nice clean white on here now. There you go. This needs to be made brighter too. And you can just keep going back into that white and popping things out more as it dries. You want that white to be pretty bright, because the black is pretty strong, so you want that white to be pretty strong to pop out that edge. See that? Yes, and you could just keep going back in that as it dries. And while it's drying, I can go on to another one. Just work on another one. I got this nice strong white on here. Okay. Wow, it really shows up against that dark, doesn't it? Sure does. Okay, so I'm going to now go in with the black and then the gray right after it, so they blend. Okay, I don't want this to be a real long video, and it's basically always about the same technique all the way on each one. So I'm going to make it a short video, just do maybe a couple more for you, and you got the basic idea really. So this will blend nicely while that black's wet. Very good. So you want this to pop out against here, so we're going to put a little more white along the, the ledge. And I'm going to use this kind of a brush. It's called a rigger. It's got a super springy, or a liner. It's got a super springy. When I wet it, it won't be fluffy like this. But I don't want to wet it too much because I want to really get that white on here strong. Okay, so now the brush is loaded with white, right? So while it's loaded with that white, because it's thinner brush, I'm going to just make a nice little fine line up in here. Pop out this edge along the black. There you go. You don't want to make a circle around. That's just too fake looking. But just part of the way, okay? Just part of the way. Okay, I'm just going to finish up this one, and that's probably going to be enough. Some of these are completed enough that you get the idea. So it could take you an hour maybe to do this many. You keep tweaking it. Along the way you can keep tweaking them, because it's acrylic. It dries in a few minutes. So I'll go back into the gray up against that black. And maybe just a little dab of that in there, a little black in there. While it's wet, that'll blend nicely. Oh, that's pretty. Oh yeah, that's a beautiful bubble. I don't think I have to do anything more to that one. Let me show you that one. That one really came out beautiful, and it came out fast. Can you see it? I don't know where the camera's aiming. This is the one I want right here. Right here. Is that what's aimed at? I can't tell. Oh, maybe that's where it's got to go, I guess. Oh yeah, there you go. Oh, that is beautiful. So I'll give you an idea. There's a few undone ones yet that I have to work on. There's a couple on this side that are almost finished, completed, and quite a few undone ones down here. Okay, so that's basically how I do them. I hope you got something out of that little demo, and it's fun. It's fun putting bubbles in. Bye for now.